Good evening, everybody. I am Tank, and this is the Speak Project, and we are in a very, very exciting time, and tonight's going to be a great show. We have Mama Green, as she's affectionately known by everyone who I've ever seen talk to her. Her real name is Kim Green, and she is going to talk to us about some very important things going on all over in her amazing world. She's what I call a master storyteller and a ace historian, and she has been one of our biggest supporters at Create Change with the Speak Project, and particularly with me, which I am someone who needs all the support I can get personally. So just to give everybody an idea of what we're doing, we are bringing out information about the various projects that Create Change has already reviewed and we're going to fund around the world. And we are in a transitional moment in history as the power structure of the previous cabal is falling apart right in front of us. And right now we are witnessing something that has never happened in any of our lives. Essentially, what you see taking place is that you're watching this president who, at best, he's being portrayed as some kind of a, barbarian, and he's constantly ridiculed in the mainstream media by various people. And they try to portray him as this racist, bigoted, anti-immigration kind of person. And there's a story behind the scenes, and I feel responsible to tell that story. So we're going to make sure that we do that today and talk a little bit about what's going on. Now, just to give everybody an idea about some of the things that are taking place, let me just make sure. Mama Green, you on the line?
I am.
Mama Green, you want to introduce yourself?
I'm here. Yes, good evening. You do hear me, because I don't know if you can hear me or not. Yes, good evening, everyone. Wonderful. Hello, my name is Kim Cummings Green, and I am known as Mama Green. I am 64 years young. I have a beautiful husband who I've been with for over 46 years. Also, 2 beautiful grandchildren, 2 children, a boy and a girl. And I am an active motorcyclist. I ride a Mad Dog 1600 Vulcan Classic. What else about me? Love to scuba dive. I'm an advanced scuba diver. Love the water because it's free, it's open, and I can just float like a fish and sing like a bird. What else? I love dancing. I'm an urban ballroom dancer. And my pet peeve,
that's how we met. Others. We were in a breakdance fight. Sorry, go ahead.
And about me, most importantly, I just love helping. I see things, I take heed to it, I pray on it, and I act. And usually just to be something special to someone else. Now they don't even know that they need it. So that's about a little bit of it in a nutshell.
That's a very beautiful attitude, right? Now, imagine if we could replicate that attitude, that we should just help out, because a lot of people don't even know they need help, right? And by the way, Mama Green has gone through and been responsible to edit and spot check and problem solve all the issues with our websites, and she is relentless, and she does not apologize when she points out the flaws, and she has made us much, much better. And for that, that amongst many things, but that's one of the most recent things she's done for us. And she actually, it was your mother-in-law, correct? Or your grandmother-in-law?
Correct.
This party I came to. How old was she?
That is correct. 90 years old. Young, I have
90
to say.
Years old.
Yes. And I call her my mother-in-love, because there's no laws involved. We don't go by laws. That's my mother-in-love, yes. And actually, we talking about doing something. She just did a marathon last year in Central Park. 5K. And finished.
Oh, okay. She didn't do a marathon, but she did a 5K. That's cool. If she would have done a marathon, I'd have been like, that might go down in the Guinness World Book of Records if she was 90 years old doing a marathon. That'd be amazing. Yeah. So, yeah, so Mama Green is part of the fabric of Harlem. And in Harlem, her family is just dynamic and impressive and exciting young professionals, and really amazing. So I really appreciate that. And I got to know them a little bit. I got in a little spat with one of the family who was a doctor. I might even be your son-in-law. I'm not sure. I can't remember, but I know that we did not agree about the treatment of diabetes, and he was, that's one of the challenges we face, right? With doctors, they definitely are convinced that they have all the answers. So right now, Mama Green, I want to get your opinion on some of these things that are going on. So what do you think about this? I'm going to start here. So right now you have this rhetoric taking place, and it's repeated over and over again, and it never seems to be backed up by fact. You have these very vicious attacks against the president, and they're saying they want to impeach him. But what do you do when the House of Representatives did an investigation on him, and it showed no collusion and no wrongdoing? The Senate did an investigation on him. It showed no collusion and no wrongdoing, not even a misdemeanor. And then they have a special counsel, FBI counsel, that is put together of all the Democratic, their choices of investigators. And after 2 years of threatening and, trying to really talk about, oh my goodness, it's terrible, this is treason. The way they were talking about him, who knew what was going to come out, right? The way they talked. And then the FBI's conclusion is there's no collusion, there's no obstruction, there's no misdemeanor, there's no crime of any kind committed by the president. But in this, they revealed a whole bunch of other things that seem to incriminate various sources with the DNC. Now, what do you think about that? What does that say about our government and where we are in history?
Okay. Right now, exactly what I'm going through, two things. They cannot confirm what he has allegedly he has done. And himself as the president, whom I totally support, which I get feedback from family, but I really don't care because I put them on the spot when I tried to. Basically, yes, because at the time where he is right now, and he's still there, he's still alive, he is still strong, they cannot touch him because he is covered. And at this point in time, as long as he stays fit and stand on point, they're going to go on and on and on. You know that, Tank. No matter what you say or do, they're going to try to find ways. But at the end, he is going to win because he's still there. So at this point, what I am saying to all that is screw them. And he just needs,
right.
Really, honestly. But I'm right now into legal stuff because of my demeanor with the law. And they had taught me, you got to stand up. You got to know the wrong. If you have to know point blank, let's just like the president know, as I was telling him, you cannot confirm it. I will not deny it. I will not confirm it, but it's up to you. You, the person who are sitting there throwing these threats at me, to prove it, just like the president. So
that's correct.
He cannot be impeached. All right?
Nope. No, he cannot. There's actually no grounds to impeach him on. This is just rhetoric that they're putting out there to try to shift the collective consciousness of the people. And that is what is happening right now as we speak. Now, what I find fascinating in this moment, right, is that even after 3 full investigations, 2 years of taking apart his family, looking at everything, they have still got their base in an uproar. And I'm not Republican or Democrat. To be honest, I'm much more liberal-minded in the sense that I believe in being open-minded because that's what it means to be liberal. In this particular case, the Democrats have acted like such an embarrassment to humanity that it's just showing off and exaggerating the deep state on the Democratic side. But it's really the deep state, just to clarify. There's lots of very good Democrats and Republicans and on both sides. Well, there's some. And now this is what is fascinating. So I want to take you through this little bit of the situation that's currently happening, because I find this to be very amusing. Because what keeps happening is there keeps being these big attacks on the president, right? And over and over again, they keep failing. So the latest one is that I just saw today is Nancy Pelosi comes out and she says, we have never not said there was a crisis at the U.S.-Mexico border, right? Now, that's what she's saying. Now, this is a blatant lie, right? I mean, she's the Speaker of the House, and she's saying, we never said there was no crisis. We never said that. What do you mean? And then this article goes on to really take her apart, right? And I find this to be hilarious, right? And this is the thing that is a struggle for me, because even when presented with absolute facts, people will justify their anger and their hatred, right? So in this case, here's some of the quotes that they did actually come after and said. They actually came out and said that it was a manufactured crisis by President Trump. And then others went down to the border. He said the one thing, and there were other senators went down there and they said, well, the one thing we noticed is there's no crisis. There's nothing going on, right? And very, very proud of how there's nothing going on. There's no crisis. But now we have some inside information, right? Because we're going to give you real news. So here is some real news. Now, Steve Mnuchin, who is considered, he's in the secret societies. He's known right now as the chosen one. So whenever you give these egomaniacs a title, what ends up happening is they really feel like they have to live up to this, right? So now he's yielding all this power. And with this power that he probably thinks is magic and given to him by their god Baal or Satan or whatever it is. And so here's some of the things that Steve Mnuchin is guilty of just in the past year. Steve Mnuchin is guilty of creating a slush fund that siphoned off funds directly from donations made to the Democratic Party. Those funds were placed in a side slush fund that no one else could see. And then those funds were filtered out to Planned Parenthood so they could harvest organs from Planned Parenthood. And also, and by the way, they paid them $60 for every fetus. So they would pay them for that. And then Planned Parenthood is on tape speaking to pimps who would bring in a 14-year-old girl. They were talking to them like, what do I do about this prostitute that he has who's 14 years old because she keeps getting pregnant? And he said, is there a limit on the number of abortions she can have? And so this woman proceeded at Planned Parenthood to explain in great detail how easy it was to bring her in and just not tell anybody how old she was. So he basically told a pimp how to traffic a 14-year-old girl and to use birth control as her to use abortion as her birth control. And the reason why is for every one of those fetuses, they get an incentive. They get to sell that human flesh, and they make money off it. So that's one thing going on. Now, so part of the reason why they want that flesh, those fetuses, is they want the adrenochrome. They also want the stem cells because they're regenerative and they have these very specific properties. And that's a deal when you consider what you could do with those stem cells, how much they would regenerate your body, for $60. And now the other thing he did with that same money is he fueled the Open Society with George Soros, and they went down into Honduras and Guatemala and Mexico, and they went down and they paid people to start marching towards the U.S. border. They also paid to have buses shipped in and all types of things, and they staged a literal assault on the U.S. border. Now, in this, people think this is just not a big deal. These people need help. We need to support them. That's been the general, the other side, the deep state narrative. But in reality, what they're doing is men would come up with 10 children. 1 out of every 2 women coming up gets raped on the journey. They actually would tell the women to travel when they have their menstrual cycles, and just so they won't get raped, and then they still get raped. The children that they're coming up with is because part of what happens is some of the living conditions in certain areas of these countries are so bad that people can't support their child, so they'll sell them to these coyotes, and the coyotes tell them they're going to get those kids to rich white families in America, And by the way, that's personal experience. I know that for a fact. I know that for a fact directly from connections in Guatemala and people that I've spoken to personally who've had to get rid of their children because the mob there is so, the cartels are so in charge, and they're greedy, and they'll just keep taking and taking and taking. So they'll sell their children, and hoping they'll get a better life. And then they bring them up, and there's actually, here's something you definitely won't hear in the mainstream media. There are tunnels that go underneath the border. Now, this did make the media a few months ago in Arizona when they realized there was tunnels that came out of the border, and then there was all of these underground caves that were actually cells where they would herd the people that were sneaking across the border, and they would assign them to different things. Like the kids would, might get trafficked, other kids might get their organs harvested. Some of the young men and women would be chosen, right? And the only people that would make it out were the ones that they considered to be undesirable. So those are the only ones that actually crossed the border. And all the rest of those people, they were slaughtered in one way or another. They were either trafficked into sex slavery or something else. There's actually, the way they found out was because some man left something on a tree there, like a tie or something, in fact, and it's actually called a rape tree, which I guess is a common thing in the pedophile community, where they would rape a child, tie them to the tree, and rape them. So those are some. Now, Steve Mnuchin is the one who helped fuel that with the donations the good Democrat people made to try to support their candidate, right? Because they're so convinced Trump's so evil, right? Meanwhile, that's what Steve Mnuchin made happen for the Democrats, right? So that's one thing that Steve Mnuchin did. Now, another thing that Steve Mnuchin did is they are all sold out on this global currency reset. And they're all waiting for this big global currency reset to happen. I'm sure right now today, there's a blog out there on a guru who's talking about the global currency reset is here. It's about to go down. It's going to happen. And now that is, from the human standpoint, the regular people on the ground, that's incredible information to have that, because you could change your life if that was real. But the reality is the global currency reset was designed to collapse the economy. And it's actually the global reset. And this is written in stone, right down by you, on the Georgia Guidestones. And on the Georgia Guidestones, it actually talks about maintaining the population at 500 million people, which would mean you'd have to eliminate 90% of the human population on the planet. So that's the agenda, okay? That's what they're working on. That's what the sustainable agenda is, the sustainable development goals of the United Nations are. Because anybody who took, 7th grade biology or environmental science knows that trees, they consume carbon dioxide. And humans, we consume oxygen. Trees make oxygen, and humans give off carbon dioxide. So to say that it's carbon dioxide that is the cause of global warming, which they've now renamed to global heating, right, to really scare people. And when do you do that? The time to do that is when the summer's coming, right? It's about to be a hot summer. And when it's going to be a hot summer, you call it something like that. So when people are hot this summer, they start panicking. Oh, my gosh, it's global warming. But here is a secret that I know, and not many people may know this. In the summer, it gets hot. Just FYI, everybody. So don't panic when it's warm this summer. So now, Steve Mnuchin, in an effort to pull off the global currency reset, see, the Rothschilds, the Dragon families, the Illuminati, the Cabal, the Deep State, those are all the same thing. And what they keep trying to do is they use programs like the mortgage electronic registration system to try to seize assets from different places, and they're trying to leverage those assets, and they're trying to take control of the wealth and the assets of the planet. But all of those assets were placed in the Mana World Holding Trust, which is the master central bank. Now, so they keep trying to manage the system, but they can't get in anymore. They're shut out, right? Now you just have one trustee. You used to have 435 of them. Now you just have one. And she is an advocate for the people. Now, what they never did is they never let a dollar get to the people. But that's what our goal is. That's what our job is. And everything we're doing here is all about getting money to people for real projects to go out and change the world. And that is our mission. That's what we're doing. And it's an amazing, impressive, humbling, wonderful experience that we get to be part of this. And everybody listening, if you are listening, then you are part of it as well. Now, so Steve Mnuchin, what he did is he went in and he presented fake gold certificates. And they were registered to a Gao, one of the Gao family, which is one of the dragon families of the East. And he presented this to President Trump right in the Oval Office. And in the Oval Office, President Trump turned to his Treasury Direct Access terminal that's there in the Oval Office, and he entered the information. That's a very high-end computer. And when he entered that information in for the hallmark of that gold, what happened was Gao's name didn't come up. What came up was Kimberly Ann Gogan and the Man of World Holding Trust. And that's why anybody out there waiting for the global currency reset, it didn't happen because they don't have access to the assets to back the currency. And they never will. And every time they go to enter their stuff in the system, the whole system shuts down. So now you have two acts of treason that I just described by Steve Mnuchin, and he's been fired twice. Now here's my question, Mama Green. I gave you all that extra information I just explained to everybody on the call, so we're all on the same page. Now, most recently, he's still not fired. Now, legally speaking, if someone in our government commits treason against the American people twice, and by the way, those are verified absolute facts. We have the documentation on it. We can prove that. It's been proven to every member of the government. They all know it. So what do you think is happening? What do you think for you, someone trying to work through the legal system, and they're telling you to be confident? This man committed treason against all of us, and no one seems to care. What are your thoughts on that?
Well, my thought on that are many. In particular, if people don't really know what's happening underneath, because what you're telling us right now, Tank, the overall group of people who are not listening to you don't know that. And they all think they are fighting for the quote-unquote, the system, the people. And all, if that would be me or you, of course, we'd have been lynched, mobbed, and, they throw away the key. And we would have the worst lawyer ever because we would probably have a lawyer. But at the same time, the people who are aware of this are the ones who need to step up and take heed to this and either rewrite notes or stand firm on the situation, get on calls, be part of the Go Camelot, tell people what is happening, and use themselves as an example, because if their back pockets are hurting and they can't get anything done on the system itself, because so many people are losing their jobs because of this, then a lot of this is our fault, the people themselves, unless we do something about that. Me in general,
go ahead.
Yes. Okay, me in general.
People. You go, honey. I'll wait.
Please. No.
Here's my question. Here's my question. Here's my question to you, because people say this to me all the time. Whenever people aren't ready to hear something, and I can't help who I am. I'm just going to be this way. I just can't help it. Matter of fact, when I see it, what I think is, how can you ignore it? It's like you can't just let it happen. Matter of fact, I see it like this, and I actually had, growing up, I had this experience, that I normally wouldn't talk about, but I'm going to today. We had my father's sister was morbidly obese, and she married this one-legged man who turned out to be a pedophile. Right? It sounds like a nightmare, I know, but it turned out to be a pedophile, and he molested all the kids in the family, and except for my brother and sister who I protected, and but not just them, but he was also a Sunday school teacher, and he got convicted of molesting 36 children in Sunday school, at a place where you really think you can be safe, right? Now, here's the thing. My aunt, she knew that was going on. Now, I remember this very clearly, right? I was sitting in a bathtub. I must have been 3 years old, maybe. I was sitting in a bathtub, maybe 3 years old, with my cousin on the other side of the family. I mean, my other cousin. We were there in the bathtub together, just sitting there in the water. And I remember hearing, and my other cousin got lifted up out of the water, and I was just sitting there in this water as it got cold. And I sat there all this time while the water got cold, and I sat there and I could hear my cousin crying and whimpering as he was being raped by this man, by this grown man. Now, I think about that, right? Because my aunt came in later on at some point, picked me up and put me to bed, right? And I remember thinking, obviously he's hurt, right? I didn't know what was going on, but I knew he was hurt. And I look back at that now, and I think, you know what? She's just as guilty because she knew what was going on, and she allowed him to ruin all of those children. He took away the purest, most innocent, perfect part of a child when they're unadulterated, unharmed. They're magic. They can do anything. Their potential's unlimited. And you know what? In those formative years is when love is all those kids should be is loved, right? They should be hugged and kissed and held and taken care of. And then you take somebody who's supposed to be a figure of safety and protection, like a father or a Sunday school teacher, right? He's supposed to be taking care of those kids. But instead, he steals from them their innocence. He damages them physically, mentally, spiritually. It's a crime so harsh and horrible. Now, I put that same burden on my aunt, who was always very good to me. So, let me clarify on that. I put that same burden on her that she is just as negligent as the man who did it because she allowed it to go. She knew what was happening, and she allowed it to continue. Now, I feel the exact same way about every single person in the government, in a corporation, and in a bank. You are a bunch of morbidly obese witnesses signing off on a one-legged pedophile as he rapes and destroys children's lives. I wanted to make that point as dramatically as possible. Hopefully you guys can feel exactly what I'm talking about. Because I know, when they're listening, what they're doing all the time, and I know they know this. So as you continue to support the one-legged pedophile and destroy the lives of these humans, of these beautiful, magical people, I want you to, not my regular listeners, but those of you out there in the banking world and all of you that keep signing off on this nonsense. You, Steve Mnuchin, I hope you listen because you know how I feel about you. All of you, that's what you are worth. That's who you are. Now, just to clarify, my aunt, she ended up dying in a house that was condemned, crushed by her own weight. And she was crushed to death by her own weight, alone in a house that was condemned. And when they came to pick up her body, she was so obese, they couldn't move her. So my father and his brother had to pick up their morbidly obese, naked, dead sister and carry her down 3 flights of stairs to get her into the hearse so they could take her away. Now, I don't wish death on anybody. What I wish is repentance on people. What I hope and pray for is that people are able to change. Because I know we are able to forgive, but what has to be made very clear, there is no pleasant ending for that path. You think that's fair, or you think that's too extreme?
No, that is not extreme. But you also know that these same people are fearful. They don't know. They don't know what's going to happen to them when they do go out and preach the truth. They don't want loneliness. It's like they're ashamed and the guilt that's in them, and they are sick inside, period, because they can't live with themselves when they deal with such horrific things happening to someone in their family and to them, because it's a mental struggle for these people who are going through this. And my hurt for them is, how do you help them get through that? besides not killing himself and or letting it continue. And that's our government, period.
Well, no. I want to be clear about this. That's not the government. Now, there's members in the government.
No, I'm saying who are the pedophiles. That's what I'm saying. They are the pedophiles.
Oh, yes.
Themselves.
Oh, God, I know.
Oh, yes, indeed. And they don't care. And they're using the law to benefit their deceitfulness. And we don't know. A lot of us don't even know any better. We'll step in the court and let people say, yeah, yes, and don't say anything and walk away. And like, what just happened? Because we don't know. We don't learn to pick up a book and read or write a letter. Because you had mentioned we don't know how to do things. What I do with my grandson, if he hits someone in class or pulls someone here, when he's only 6 years old, when he gets here, he has to write a letter. He gets down with a piece of paper, learn how to write, good envelope, address it, and go to school, and he will hand deliver that letter. So at 6, so I said, if you can do this at 6, when this child grow up, I want him to run this country with his pen and his word and his mind. So if you're scared to talk or do anything, pick up a piece of paper. You're on the phone. They can't see you. At least you will feel a little better about yourself. And that's what we're trying to do. That's what I know I try to do. Take heed of what you know is right instead of saying, well, I don't know, and if I do this, they're going to do that. What the? No. You know what? Then pick up the pen, pick up the phone, get a friend, do something together. Because it only takes one to take two and so forth and so on to make a difference. And so sometimes you need that strong person next to the weak to get them over the hump. Because I feel for the ones who don't know how to because of that factor of what is going to happen if I do. So if you don't know what to do, okay, let's get someone who you know who can speak, and let's walk together, all right, side by side. And don't back off when it gets hot. That pisses me off. Okay, yeah, we want to do something, yeah. When it comes to say, okay, and when the fire hits the fan, like you see this, you know this is happening. You see that child coming to school not eating hungry. You know something's happening to that child physically and mentally. And you're just going to say, well, the system says BS. Come on. The family, and it's sad because children are raising children, and mothers. Okay, I'm sorry. I'm going off. My bad.
No. Go. You on a roll. Don't you stop. Go ahead.
Because, I get called in. People call me in because I'm a voice. And if I see that, and I say, you come with me. You come with me because it's not my truth. It's your truth. And when you let that truth go, it might hurt at first. It's going to sting a little bit. But at the ongoing outcome, it's going to make you a little stronger. And the more you do, it's going to make your head higher. And then you want to keep on stepping. You're like, wait a minute, that wasn't so bad after all. But yet, okay, well, your child can't do this or you can't do that, but you see it and know it? Mm-mm. And that is all around every single people on this call, and you could tell people that, I'm with you. Just like I'm with you, okay?
That's right.
But, yes.
I know. Now, I'll tell you something. I am going to let everybody in on a secret. I always want you to keep in mind, I have stopped providing intel for some time now. I don't provide intel. What I do is I provide facts that are happening that I get directly, that I can tell you with my own eyes. I know exactly what's happening behind the scenes. The things I talk about, there's lots of things I don't know, but the things I report on, I do know. And every now and again, I'll speculate with something. But I'll tell you that. So I generally am providing absolute facts, right? Now, what you're witnessing is this charade up in front of you with the various war going on with the back and forth, the deep state. Now, the goal is to get us here on the ground level divided against each other. And this is, Willie Lynch on the banks of the Mississippi giving his speech to the other slave owners, talking about he could smell the rotting carcass of one of their slaves hanging from a tree as he rode into town, saying that you are still trying to use brute force to control the behavior of your slaves. And he said, I will give you a method whereby if you employ it every day, you will be able to control your slaves, and they will enslave themselves for the next 300 years. if not longer. And he says you divide them. You divide the men from the women. You divide them by their hair color, their eye color, their skin color, their size, their shape, the fat ones from the skinny ones, the strong ones from the weak. You bring the children into the house and you destroy them. You make that so the only people they can trust is you. And when the child feels abandoned, you tell them it was their parent that abandoned them, and then you go and tell the parent that the child's not right because of what the father did, and you divide them all against each other. And then you make all this chaos, and you destroy the family unit. Now, Mama Green, part of what I love so much about you is the incredible family unit you represent. You are a symbol of how powerful we can be when the family stays together. That woman loves her husband so much she called him beautiful. I mean, man pretty beautiful. Now, I've met him. I got a friend who's man pretty, and your husband is a very attractive man, but he is not man pretty. That means you love that man. Now, that is the most powerful force that we can deal with. Ain't nothing wrong with just being in love all the time. You know, you don't ever hear anybody complain about being in love. Nobody's ever in love like, oh, man, I'm in love. Everything's wonderful. Like, nobody complains about that. Nobody's divided about that. No one's even unhappy for you. You could be in love and everybody's just like, cool, I'm glad, you know, because you're more pleasant to be around. Now, that's not just a feeling. That's a substance of everything. It's the core and the essence of what we're made from. That's why when people make love, what will happen eventually is they will make offspring, right? Because every child should ultimately be the product of love. I think that principle is so powerful and so important. Now, in this moment, I want to point some of these things out. Like, Mama Green's talking about not being afraid. Now, you know, there's something in nutrition called a crowd diet. Now, here's what a crowd diet is for anybody who doesn't know. See, people have a hard time dieting, right? Because there's all these rules, regulations, and they got to give up things they love, right? So, you know, I have one of the many companies that I've owned is a wellness company. And what we taught people was just start eating more vegetables. And just every meal, focus on eating more vegetables. So now vegetables are supposed to be the most nutrient-dense part of your meal, right? So the more vegetables you eat, and the more vegetables you eat, and the more vegetables you eat, you know what happens? It crowds out the bad stuff. So all of a sudden, you're eating like, you know, a piece of fish and a bunch of vegetables, and you feel great, and you've lost weight, and you're healthier, your blood pressure's down, you're a brand new person, and you didn't even have to worry about dieting. All you did was focus on what you can do to help yourself, to make yourself better. You don't have to consume yourself with what might happen if you don't. The focus of all of our growth, all of our power, is in our awareness of our power. And if we recognize we are affecting and shaping the reality right now, we can change everything. And that starts with us making decisions that are responsible and empower us and empower others. You know, a good choice, it naturally inspires somebody else. If I make a good choice for me, it'll naturally be a good choice for someone else. Because a good choice for me isn't at someone else's expense, right? So, now that being said, here's something else you're witnessing in very practical and real government craziness that's going on. You have the Attorney General, Barr, and he has had to examine the cases, right? That are the Mueller report. And as he's examined it, he's assigned different investigators. And they've already, now these guys were investigating for 2 years and found nothing on Trump. They've been investigating that for about 2 weeks. And they've already found significant evidence to show that there is criminal activity in the investigation. Now, first of all, Comey, he took information, and he never verified the Steele dossier. He never revealed to President Trump that Hillary Clinton and the Democratic National Committee, they paid for the Steele dossier to be created. Now think about that. You're running for president, and they create a absolutely salacious report, right? That is horrible. That's embarrassing to even talk about. I won't even repeat the things that are in it. And then they go, so Comey and it might have been Sessions. Sessions and Comey sit down with President Trump and Barack Obama, because this was before he even really took the position. He hadn't even started being the president yet. They already started attacking him. They sat there with him, and they went through the very embarrassing and sensitive details of that report. Now, I'll tell you this. That is a common deep state cabal practice, right? To put somebody in their place, to let them know that you have them under control. And if President Trump were to just bow down, be like, oh, I'll do anything not to let that come out, it's too embarrassing, right? If he would have done that, you wouldn't have any fights, but you wouldn't have any progress either. But he didn't do that. He said that's not true. And he took a stand. And now, the deep state has been completely disassembled because that man took a stand for you and for me. Now, I mean, that's why I struggle with people trying to dog that man. I'm telling you, I know better. Now, I'm not saying he's perfect. I'm not saying he's right. He's had I'm sure he's done lots of crazy things. But you know what? By comparison, when was the last time you had a president you knew took a stand for you? Really took a stand for you. And now, what's coming out is the truth. You know, because I loved Barack Obama. Man, Barack Obama is the greatest speaker in history. And I know you might not like him. That's okay. But you're a fool if you don't recognize that man spoke more intelligently, more powerfully than any speaker in history, including Martin Luther King. He was incredible. And they do studies on these things. He was able to hit people on all levels of intelligence, high and low, and connect all of them. I mean, amazing. It broke my heart when I realized all the things he had done. Because I fell for it too. And in this Mueller report, so they do that. Now, they never told President Trump that the DNC is the enemy party, right? Hillary Clinton, she paid for that. And they used their, so it's like I gave it to you and I gave it to, Pete over here, right? And when I give it to you, I say, well, look, Pete said the same thing, but I'm the one who gave it to both of you. So that was how they verified it, and then they used that fraudulently in the FISA court to go get permission to do illegal surveillance on then this candidate, Trump. Now, when crimes like that are happening, it's amazing. So now you have the right combination of characters, and they keep trying to trip Barr up, right? So I watched this interview today, and I just found the arrogance of these questions. They're so small-minded. This one said, well, President Trump asked Comey to correct this issue and make sure to say and to support him, which is what politics are. They're always asking them to come out and say that this didn't happen. Because President Trump said it didn't happen. And Comey would not do it. He would not do it. And from that point on, Trump knew he's in. He's in on this. Right? He's in on getting down. So he did what a responsible person would do. You're in on a coup to overthrow the president, not because you have facts, but because you fabricated facts. Because there was a plan since 1994 to have Hillary Clinton elected. And what they were doing is on the night of the election, they had the George Soros voting machines, right? And these George Soros voting machines were supposed to rig the election. And when they rigged the election, she would come out on top. Now, I happen to know the group that took that rigging device down that day. And all of this talk about Hillary Clinton's illegal server that she had at home that was hacked by, had malware on it that was feeding confidential top secret documents to the Chinese. That was the same server that she was using to rig the election. That's why the night of the election, when it was over and she lost, she destroyed it. Now, they don't talk about that part of it, but I know for a fact because I know the hackers that took it down. So that happened. And that's why President Trump won the election. Not because he cheated, but because Hillary Clinton was cheating, and people who are against that stopped her from doing it. Now, how about that for reality? I mean, I know that's something that's hard to embrace, but Mama Green, how do we give that message across to people with that reality? How do you make that hit with people?
Well, I know one thing, it will hit hard. I know, because this is the first time I'm hearing it, and if that comes to the media, which they will probably try to stop it by all means, it will be, horrific. And see, we're talking about facts and fabrication here, what they have been doing to the people and with Trump's. My question is always going back to how is Trump defending himself? Because we can't see it. We just or we don't know, because we're not supposed to know everything anyway. That's just how it is. But can I lead into something with what you're saying with facts, please?
Yes, ma'am.
Because
please.
A lot of us have been waiting for this day to come, which we know it will happen. But in the meantime, what are they doing about their situation if they don't have means to stop debt collectors calling and things like that, or foreclosing their homes? And like I had put in my little bio, I learned to make lemonade out of lemon, because I was part of that trap. And when I called you, because I was stuck in a situation arbitration, because I know how to talk. And when you're in trouble, you figure ways how to talk, and not you find someone else to talk. And once I realized, okay, I know not to go there, the reason now why I don't go there. And once you understand why you don't go there, how do I fight it? And at the same time, now I've learned now, waiting for the manifestation, but I have to also survive. I found an organization, if you don't mind, I would like to mention that, because people who are getting bombarded and their livelihood feels stressed because of this noose. Okay, how do I pay this card? There's something called what lies in your debt. And I have now learned to be my own litigator with the help of these people, and there's no charge just to hear them. It's free knowledge, but you have to be willing to step out of that box and stand up to what is right and beat that debt. And you get paid for beating your own debt. And it's not even a debt, it's alleged debt when it's not even yours anymore, because you can't even.
That's right.
You know, you're trying to put food on your table and get mentally straight with the help of all these experts that's coming on board with natural healing and all this magnificent, oh my goodness, healing process out there. In the meantime, what do? I would tell people, please step out. Don't just hang up the phone or don't answer the phone. You answer that phone. You tell those turkeys, don't be calling me. Don't, because that's stressful. You know, every time you see your phone, you know that someone calling to get something from you, and you know you don't have. You tell them, and they have to legally stop. But you have to be willing to stop and say it to them. And once you get out of that stronghold of saying, hey, guess what? That felt good. That felt real good, and you will continue. So I just wanted to bring that out there for people, because it is important. Because I know it helped me, and it would continue on. Because I'm fighting. I'm becoming a legal beagle pup. That's what I am right now.
Legal Beagle Plus. That's what we'll call you for the next show. Tonight's guest will be Legal Beagle Plus. Well, so here, let's talk about that a little bit. I'll just say a couple things. So, particularly, Mama Green, you talked about, when people just can't pay their mortgage anymore. Because there's, in case you don't know out there, the banks are insolvent. They no longer have liquidity to pay their own debts. So what they've been doing is stealing from the people. They've been grifting and taking money from various, every kind of card transaction you make. They hold back funds and force you to look for it, and then they use that and they leverage it 50 to 10,000 times for every dollar. And they're making money, and they don't care that you're miserable, because the Man of World Holding Trust and Kim has shut off their access to the financial system that they have used as their personal moneymaker for years. So they keep trying to leverage new assets, take money any way they can. Any way they can steal money, they're doing it. And they're so greedy that literally it was an absurd number. I want to say it was like 613,000 different small grifting things they had set in place to skim off of every credit card transaction, every debit card transaction, every check that was written, every transfer that was made. And Kim just shut that down maybe 2 months ago. And that was in every agency that was part of that. Now, this is the agencies that are supposed to protect us. This is the government that is supposed to enforce laws. This is the various organizations, the banks that are supposed to keep our money safe. That's why we put them in the bank instead of our mattress, right? So now, when that's the reality that you live in, it can be very scary. So I don't want you to stay there. That's one thing. So what Mama Green is talking about is number one, this is the most important thing. Be fearless. Fearless. They have nothing on you. You are what keeps them in charge. And you need to do a little bit of research. For example, when these debts come in, take that debt, write on that debt, I do not contract. Send it back. When the phone call comes in, and send it right back to return to sender, I do not contract. Because you're telling them, I do not have any contractual agreement with you. The fact that I am present in this place means I already own it. That is true, by the way. That's how it really works. What else you can do is when they call you. Now, I did this with my college loans, by the way. I paid off my college loans. I paid off my college loans in full, right? Paid them off. And they were harassing me and harassing me. Finally, I said, you know what? Do me a favor. Send me the promissory note and show me exactly that you own the debt. You know, they can't prove it. They cannot prove that there's any debt because I already paid it off. But they would keep harassing me. Now, I was never intimidated. I was just more annoyed than anything. But as soon as I did that, they stopped calling. And the debt's gone. And all I asked them to send me the promissory note. They couldn't find it. It was nowhere. I said, send me the promissory note. You show me. Because they were trying to get me to pay on something I had already paid off. Why should I have to pay it again? Now, they've already taken your mortgage, and they leveraged it against your birth certificate bond, and they've already collected on that. Now they're just charging you extra money. And as long as you contract with them, you're agreeing to pay it. But they've already taken money to set aside just for you from your birth. And you can stand up to that and say, I do not contract with this. And you have to be careful not to, to avoid the court as much as possible because admiralty court. And as soon as you cross that threshold, you're in their world. Now, Kim, I got some deep stuff. Right now for you, okay? Because I just asked Kim about this tonight. And this is in line with what you're talking about with the laws. So right now, what we had just heard is that we were able to move money through the Pentagon, right? And they were able to clear it, and then we pulled in $2 trillion. In the very same day, you'll notice that there was an announcement from Chuck Schumer and Nancy Pelosi, and they came out just happy as they could be because they thought they just pulled off the big switch on President Trump. Because that $2 trillion, they came out and said. They set aside $2 trillion, the exact same number that we were already talking about the day before. $2 trillion for infrastructure. Now, what happened was Steve Mnuchin made a deal with the Chinese elders, and he was going to bring the money into the Treasury, accept it from Kim, and then he was going to turn right back around and give it to the Chinese elders for the HSBC in Hong Kong, and they were going to use that to fabricate a fake revaluation of the currency. Now, that wouldn't be enough based on the lies they told us, right? And they were going to try to perpetuate that. And then what they would have done is they would have crashed the economy. And when they crashed the economy, and the banks crashed at the same time, because it would have crashed the currency, and the U.S. dollar would have dropped down to pennies overnight. And when people couldn't buy food and the whole world was in chaos, they would have to implement global martial law, or the United Nations would have to. And that means they could come in and take over all military. And from there, now, again, this is fact. They had already prepped this. They had already prepped to start to quarantine people into different stadiums. Right? They've been preparing for this in training drills in the military for years. And most of the military didn't even know why they were doing that. They also trained for major fractures in the planet that would happen, and all of a sudden we were separated into 5 regions, and they couldn't communicate through traditional means. What would they do? They trained for that in St. Louis. They trained for that up in Seattle and Oregon. They trained for this outbreak of a deadly virus. Now, what their plan was to release biological weapons at the same time the economy crashed. And this is all drawn out in the Iron Mountain report. And so they would have first done the fake global currency reset, and the money would have had no value. The world would have crashed, the economy would have crashed, and the currencies. in that moment, you would have had biological warfare unleashed on the people, and no one would have been the wiser because they're already doing it, right? So it would have been an absolute panic. Now, they would have had to kick it up a notch, right? So one of the things you saw tested down in Florida, you saw all of a sudden there was these people, and they had this overwhelming craving to eat human flesh, and they were attacking people and eating their faces. Well, that's the zombie virus that was created. Now, that's a real virus, and it's documented. It's actually registered and patented in the CDC. And it basically devours your flesh and devours human flesh, and then because your flesh is being devoured, you crave someone else's flesh. And so they were actually going to release the zombie apocalypse. Now, imagine if it's a zombie apocalypse, right, and you're a military guy, and you know it's highly contagious, then all of a sudden, if you had a whole bunch of zombies that were dehumanized, that were assembled in a stadium, and they told you to bomb that, you wouldn't be worried about the humanity of those people, because now they're a threat to humanity, right? Now, keep in mind, it's the same order, though, that launched all these things into place. Now, all these things they've been in place and halted, by the way. But so they were going to do that. So they would have had a biological warfare, and the poor military guys, they would have been just gassing people and blowing people up all over the place, and it would have been justified. And that would have been the world for a while, right? And what they would have done, they would have showed up, you know what, we have the answer, and they would have implemented cryptocurrency, and they said, but all you got to do is let us save the day. It's your fault because you're responsible. And also, in that same time, the environment would seem to be going crazy, right? The planet would go crazy because they'd use the HARP devices. They have hurricanes break out and all types of crazy stuff, and and horrible heat. And so what they would do is they would come in to, look, we're gonna take over the financial system completely. We're gonna do away with all hard money, all solid cash. We're going to implement cryptocurrencies, right, that are backed by nothing, right? And we're going to put these in there to save you guys' life. And we're going to give everybody universal income, right? So everybody's going to get, $20,000 a year, and they're going to look like heroes. And all of us, we would have signed up again and said, yes, thank you. Oh my gosh, I need relief. I'm scared. There's zombies outside at night. It's terrifying, right? There's things blowing up. And then once we signed over like that, they would have had control of us again. Now, I know somebody hears that like, that is crazy. You're absolutely right. It's crazy, and that is the exact plan. And that is exactly the kinds of things. Now, maybe not that exact scenario, because they had other things too, but they're all the same thing. They all serve the same purpose: create chaos, and then offer a solution to enslave us. Because all of us, whether we know it or not, have been enslaved to debt. All of us, because they don't see us as equals. So, now here's the piece that comes back to you as to why it's so hard to get these laws, enacted the right way. So I asked him today, because most recently, in bringing money in for the government, for disaster relief and things like that right now, Steve Mnuchin has suddenly finds himself very powerful, and he's making threats to everyone. He's saying, I run the financial system. That's what he says. Now, I don't know how he runs the financial system, because he can't even access a single terminal, a single account anywhere. He probably, at this point, can't even access his own bank account, because we've completely frozen everything. Kim has taken him down. He can't. He tried to get NATO-level security clearance. He had it. As soon as he got it, she deleted it. So none of them have access. But he was making all these threats. He threatened Kim, which, hey, Mnuchin, if one of your people get this, oh my gosh. May God have mercy on your soul, you crazy knucklehead. Every single mercenary that goes up there to try to kill her, including the 100-plus ninjas that went up there, the Chinese assassins that went there to take her out, all of them came back in body bags. So I don't know what these guys are thinking. I don't know what they're thinking. They're just insane. They just refuse to quit. And believe me, Mnuchin, there's nothing you can do. There's nothing that you have the power to do. You are not strong. You are not more intelligent. You are not anything. So I don't know why you think that you're in control of anything. The fact that you can't access anything means you're not in control of anything. But anyways, so that being said, these were the latest threats that went out there. That he's out there making all these threats. So I asked him, I'm like, Kim, how is it possible that he stays in that position? I'm like, what is the order of the laws that exist on the planet? Because he obviously doesn't answer the same laws I do. Because we answer the laws our government makes, right? So here's the order. There is draconian law at the top. And draconian law is traditionally very harsh because almost any crime you commit that breaks draconian law, the punishment is death. And that's why people are so afraid to go against the draconians. And everybody in the world, they're all aware of that on that level, who's part of this. They know the draconian laws rule. Now, beneath that, by the way, but the draconians who used to be there, they're all dead. So because there really is no draconian law, the only thing ruling those people it's their own mentality, it's their own thought process. They are terrified because they have seen horrible things happen to people who violate those draconian laws. And, I'm not sure exactly what all the laws are because the draconian constitution has disappeared. I could probably get it from Cam. I'm sure she has it. But I'm sure part of that is you never disobey the hierarchy of the order, right? Because that's how they operated. Now, beneath that, but really, that's gone. There is no draconians anymore. They're gone. All there is just their bloodline remnants. Is monarch law. Now, there's a sole sovereign monarch of the planet, and that's Kim. So she really is the highest level of authority on the planet. Then beneath that, you have the statutory laws of the governments and those things, right? And that's where we are. So Mnuchin is answering to draconian law and thinking he's a god. And the reason why we don't see laws enforced on Hillary Clinton, Barack Obama, George Bush, all of these different obvious, plenty of evidence in a report that any one of us would be doing a hard time right now. If we had the same evidence presented against us, we'd go to jail because our laws, they're the laws for the slaves. We operate under slave management law. So even in your fight and all this stuff, just tell them, I'm sovereign. I don't contract with you. I have nothing to do with what you're asking. You don't control me. I live here. And just go on living in your house. And you do that enough times, and I'm telling you, they have had dominion over us in the past, but they don't anymore. They really don't because all of their contracts have expired. But that's a reality. That's a reality. But I was fascinated by the draconian law because technically the draconian leader would be the sole sovereign monarch of the planet, which would be the judge, jury, and executioner. So I told Kim tonight, I said, if that's the case, I think you'd be justified, even according to their laws, to remove these people. And that's the question. Why isn't the Pentagon moving to get rid of these people? They are known traffickers. They're known for breaking these laws. They're known pedophiles. They're known murderers. And we just allow it to go on. So we're coming up to a point where we, as the people, have got to take our rightful place as the caretakers for the planet. And if we don't stand up and do that and find a way to do that, because I know what people immediately do. Well, what do we do, Tank? You know what? Come up with an idea and tell me. You tell me what it's going to take for you to be free, for all of us to be free. Because none of us can be free if one of us is free and everybody else is a slave. Because, that one person would die from guilt. So we all got to rise together. So that's part of the challenge we're in, Mama Green. That's part of the challenge. We're trying to overcome an ancient order that's been around and in control for thousands of years. So I wanted to put this to you because I feel like you're very creative. You're very creative. You're influential, and I know you got a lot of sway. And I need some help here in New York. I need some help, and I feel like you can make a phone call and make certain things go viral. So I need to activate nonviolent protests. Peaceful ways for people to stand up, peaceful ways to take a stand and say that we will not accept this anymore. Do you think you can help me activate that in Harlem? Do you think we can find a way to create a movement that stimulates the people to realize that their freedoms are being taken from them right now? What do you think?
Oh, definitely. Oh, definitely. Oh, yes, indeedy. And I would like to make a clarification on what you had mentioned regarding debt and by writing on the letter no contract. So I'm stepping up right now. I tried that, and it didn't work. Mm-hmm. But what did work was just writing back a debt validation letter to dispute the debt. Because once you write a debt validation letter to dispute the debt, they must cease and desist all action. If not, you sue them.
Wow.
Oh, yes. So
right
now
I'm setting up already. What does that look like? Explain that. Explain that to people.
Okay. What happens is when you get no problem at all, because I have quite a few of them. What happens is when you have someone coming after you for an alleged debt, and on that alleged debt, it will say on that letter, it will actually tell you you have so many days to dispute this particular debt to them. And they give me the open door. And we never read that. I never read it. I never knew about it. I didn't know what it was. And once I got involved with what lies in your debt, they explained in order for you to move up, and this is part of the law. This is the law that sticks with the people. I found something that really works for the people, which is the Fair Debt Collection Practices Act. And that is exactly what it does. It stops them from going further and trying to take over either your property or your debt and harassing you. And actually, every time they call you, you tell them that also. And what this debt validation letter also specifies is that if you keep calling me, I will sue you for that. And for every call, you can make money if they don't stop. And again, this is knowledge. Like you said, go out there and fight for the rights of people. I'm big on this now. I just learned this 5 months, and I'm just like, hallelujah. and that fear factor is no longer there, because if you can't do it, you can't. And it's just a one-page document, and you just keep using it over and over again. You just tweak it. But you have to stand up to the cause. If you have a cause, just like you asked, to go out there and speak the truth and get the people to work in harmony and peace, no different. If you have a cause to fight someone who was harassing you, and peace and harmony, it can be done. But we just have to know how to and be directed properly without being all out of place. Like, it's not necessary. I'm going back to Martin Luther King. That's one of my favorites. Anyway, okay. But, yes, I just wanted to clarify everything I have learned in the past few months that has worked for the people. And I literally went to the courthouse and sat in a court and witnessed all these things happening to the people. And I went ahead and gave them the information because it was the right thing to do.
Yes, indeed.
So yes,
you could provide that for me, right? That letter, so that we can post that on the Speak Project, and people, and we'll redact certain elements of it, and but people can see the format, because you are certainly a very powerful communicator, and the way you write, I think, is very valuable. To anybody would benefit from that, right? Because we're all, there's ways to take stands right now. I would love to be able, if I was going to really launch a movement right now, which I am, I'm just trying to figure out what is going to work for people the best way. I would love to tell everybody, every single person who has a mortgage with Wells Fargo, with Bank of America, with Citibank, with TD Bank, everyone who has a mortgage, stop paying it. Stop paying it and go through the process to justify the debt. Explain that this debt has already been paid off. Whatever. I'm going to look at your letter. Now, if that works, I'll tell you what, I would love that. You would bring down the entire world banking industry if you could get, because right now it's so fragile. You would be able to take that, you'd be able to force them to cooperate, right? Because we're bringing money in, different parts of the world, the government, and all these different things. It's essential, though, that we're able to get that money to the people on the ground. Because if you don't have the money, you know what that means? You're still a slave.
That's right.
And so am I. So if we don't, now if they have money and we don't, we are slaves. Now let that sink in. Everybody out there, I'm telling you, think about that. Because I know people don't like. Look, I hate that word. I know how insulting that is. Don't call me a slave. I get it. It doesn't trigger something just for certain people and certain races. It triggers something for everybody. And there is more people who are being trafficked and enslaved now than at any other time in history. So slavery is not dead. But the biggest thing is what they outline, when they set up the Federal Reserve, is public slavery. And that's what we're in, public slavery.
Mm-hmm.
Now think about that. So Mama Green's got a way. She's talking about, we're going to put that out on the Speak Project. So anybody who wants to know, you can go to speakproject.net, and you can go to that website, and we will post the things on the blog there. We also have a section in there called like must-see or essential documents. And when you go into essential documents, you can see all the evidence of everything I'm talking about, because I don't deal in spooky facts and, garbage intel or conspiracy theories. I am giving you absolute truth. This is the untold story that people are not talking about. I can back it all up, and I don't mind if you challenge me. So if anybody would like to call and share anything, you're welcome to do that. We're going to the number to call in right now is 646-721-9771. And I got a bunch of numbers on here. I'm not sure who they are. Maybe they're listed on the computer. So I'm going to take a couple calls. Would that be okay, Mama Green?
Oh, that is wonderful. I'm good with that. Okay. Thank you so much.
So if you are calling in from your computer, which I guess there's a way to do that, I don't know how, but these could just be intelligence agencies who are listening in at 111-111-1111. It could be, I'm not sure. But we're going to start. So but please turn down your computer, and you can just speak on the phone. So 704, I'm going to bring you on right now if you have something to say. Right now. 704, are you there? 704 is not there? That's what happens. So we'll see, Mama Green. We've had a little bit of issues with our phone line. So, the big thing is, right, the reason why they don't allow our information to go out on social media is because we're telling people the truth. And then we back it up. And that's the last thing they want, because that disrupts the whole, mainstream media march, the narrative of this frequency that puts everybody in a trance. Because if you knew you could be free, if you really knew you could be free, Mama Green, let me ask you about this. Do you know that the human body is designed to live to be 1,000 years old? 1,000 years old. And we've seen it. Scientists at Yale and Harvard, they've studied it, and they said they couldn't even understand why does the body age at all, because every cell in the body is replaced every 7 years. Now, you know what that means? That means they have shortened our lifespan by 90%. And I know people don't get this, but the reality is, the reason why they put fluoride in the water, that is a known poison, it says it right on your toothpaste, is because it shortens your telomeres. It disables your body in its natural ability to heal. It creates plaque in the body. That's why they have heavy metals softened in smart dust and nanites released in chemtrails to get into our body to create a frequency that causes us to not be able to think clearly, to age us prematurely, to make us sick, to cause diseases. All of these things, the chemtrails are known to cause cancer. So is fluoride, by the way. Right? Now, and by the way, we have several people in our groups, and the next project's coming out, several cures for cancer. Several cures for cancer. But they made them illegal. They made curing cancer illegal, the FDA, which is not even a government organization. It is owned by the United Nations. So all of these things are the facts and the reality of what's going on, right? They poison our food, right, with GMOs and pesticides. They poison our water with fluoride and chlorine and other chemicals that they know is a poison. They poison our air. Now, that makes it a very difficult situation for us to really recover if we don't stop that stuff first. We've got to find ways to stop those things first, because we've got to find ways to heal and regenerate. Now, Mama Green, what do you think about this? Do you think if people really understood what their potential was, like if I was going to take 90% of your life, and you realized I was doing it, and it was happening for generations, and you found out that this character was, what do you think the reaction would be? Like if people were really able to accept and understand that.
No, the reaction wouldn't be too good at all. But the problem I see with this too, Tank, is they have to change. And if you are used to eating the foods and drinking the waters and the junk, and you stop, your body is going to go through withdrawal because you're going to crave this because your body has been used to it. So now you're going to have a mental problem and an anger problem because it's something they don't know how to deal with. So if they don't know how to deal with it with the help that is out there for them, for the physical help, because I know because I went through it. So I can speak on this. When I know that I have an aunt now who's 105, she lives alone by herself. And I'm like, Auntie, what'd you do? And she just said, I just do what I like and I do it right. I'm like, okay.
Mm-hmm.
And it's just so invigorating. And when I found, again, like you said, the fluoride, the mercury in our teeth that has been just putting gas in our brain, that is a good force of mercury and aluminum in our brains with Alzheimer, I went to the dentist and got all the mercury pulled out because I'm like, it did what? And my teeth are cracking, and I'm being poisoned by the fluoride, and now my body's going through withdrawal. And it took, literally shakes and chills and like cravings. And it's like, okay, it's like giving up coffee, giving up smoking, giving up that chocolate or chips or whatever. And then you're like, why? And then when your body finished the withdrawal and you go through a cleansing and a detox and you realize, I feel better, I look younger, and I didn't need this junk anyway. And then you realize the dyes in the food, you get to be a label junkie. You're like, I don't want that, I don't want this. And society can't win when we know what to do right with our body. But we have to make that change.
That's right.
So, yes, give me that 1,000 years. Give me that. Because I know, just
That's right.
your cell regenerates. And like every 90 days, also your cells regenerate. And that's why when you go to the doctor, they say come back in 3 months. That's 90 days because you should see a difference in your blood count. And if it doesn't work, they put something else on you. Nah. Okay, let me go to holistic. Give me something better. Let me change my diet. Let me lose this weight, like you said, the obesity in us today. But again, I know that withdrawal factor is no joke. But once you know about it and someone teach you about it, and then you know it's coming and you know to get around it and get over it, oh, you're golden. Our people just get smarter and brighter and more beautiful. Come on now, somebody.
That's right. That's right. Look, and that's what. Look, I'll tell you something. People are afraid, aren't they? People are afraid to let their light shine. People, how's the quote go? I know you know this. She said, what we are afraid of, what we are most afraid of is not to be killed or something, but it's to be great. It's to let our light shine. But in allowing our light to shine, what we do is we give others permission to shine as well. Now, the more that we shine as individuals and we allow our light to go out and touch other people, and don't be afraid or ashamed of it, to just go on and go ahead and be exceptional. You know, I cannot stand when people I see them, and I see all, this is a blessing and a curse, right? It helps me identify great people and bring out things in them. But it's a lot of work. But you know what I see, Mama Green, and it's one thing that I know in my experience that, I don't particularly do anything so much better than, or the best in the world. But one thing I might do the best at is I see qualities in people that they don't see in themselves, and I appreciate them. And even when they downplay their own abilities, I don't. I appreciate them. I feel them, and I can. Sometimes I'm fortunate enough to be able to bring those out and help those people be a better version of themselves. But it's amazing to me the beauty that people have in them that they want to suppress because they've been trained to be ashamed of who they are. Now, I know these are really esoteric, abstract principles, and how are you going to apply this to real life? I've told you how to apply it to real life. I told everybody, go out there, and as they throw hate at you, feed back on love. As they throw stones at you, take those stones and build bridges. As they attack, withdraw. the only way to really overcome a bully is to make sure that they know their punch, their bite, their words, it has no effect on you anymore. When I was a kid, we used to talk about that and say, you got to take a hit like a man. Now, nowadays, you think taking a hit like a man means you go crazy, start a fight, beat somebody back. Men will be hitting women and hitting kids, right? Because they're men. Because they think what it means to be a man is to fight back. But, my dad told me to take a hit. And I'll tell you, I can't even imagine putting my hand on a woman ever in my life, but I've taken many a hit. I've taken many a slap across the face and punch across the jaw from people that I know that I could potentially hurt, and I won't do it. I was a college wrestler, and it was brutal. It was brutal. And when I wrestled, I remember we used to, when I was younger, you were scrappy. You could fight. By the way, never get in a fight with a wrestler because, it's easy for a wrestler to punch. But if you're somebody who can punch really well, if that wrestler gets you on the ground, you're going to have a hard time wrestling. and wrestlers very rarely lose fights. So there was this one little guy. He was a 126-pounder, 126 pounds. And he came back to the dorms when I was in college, and he got jumped by 4 guys. You know that 3 of those guys are still in a coma. Or no, 2 of those guys are still in a coma. 1 of them died. Now imagine, he got jumped. He just defended himself. But he knew. He was a great wrestler, national champ. And he knew he was that much stronger than them. But he didn't hold back. So he made his life chaos. His family, he embarrassed everyone. All because he had to show, even before, you can't take me down. Because he had to show how tough he was. But I don't think so. The way to do it, give back to them love. Go on social media, and every time somebody says something that just infuriates you, respond with, I love you. I see you. I see what you're doing. And I appreciate you for doing it. Because it makes me better. Because what you're doing, in all your darkness, all it does is highlight my beauty, my strength, my pureness, the lightness of who I am. So your ugliness just makes me look better. And when that happens, then you can be in a state where you just say, thank you. Thank you for making me better. Now, when you can get in that energy and realize how powerful that is, you realize that's enough to change the whole world. That is the principle that we can work with. Hey, Mama Green, I'm going to do something for you. You there?
I am.
Green?
I'm
okay,
here.
Now listen. I was talking to this lovely, lovely girl today, and I was just so inspired hearing the way she talked and who she was as a person. Just wonderful. And it just made me feel all nostalgic and loving. So this young man I know, he wrote this beautiful song, and because it's Friday night and everybody's now. Don't get off. We're going to come back on it, but I want you to hear this song because it was so touching to me. This guy wrote this song. It's called Unconditional Love. So we'll play this and I'll be right back. Hello. I'm back on in case anybody's still around. And hopefully everybody got to hear that song. That is a young man named Eric, and I don't even know his last name, but I know that he used that song and made it on the fly, no less. Now, I've got some numbers. I've got some people here. If I'm going to try to bring you in to talk, but we'll see if I'm still able to connect. I apologize. I keep getting kicked off the air, but we'll see if it goes down. Let's see. Hello? Are you there? If I tilt it this way. Oh, here we go. 314. Are you there?
Is Hello? That me, Tank? Hello, Tank?
I don't know. Does your number start with 314?
Yeah. Oh, great.
Oh, then it's you, man. It's you. Come on, man. What are you doing here? You know how this works. Let's go.
Greetings, Tank. How are you?
I'm wonderful.
How are you? My name is Troy. I've talked to you before. I told you about me wanting to get together with you because when I seen you had Mama Green on here and she was representing love energy, oh my gosh, it just turned me even upside down and flipping around here. And, you know, I've been listening to you. I've been, a little bit nervous, excited to be on the line. But I've been listening to you, and it's great to hear all this great information coming out and everything like that. And everything that you're saying is so true. It's so true about us knowing ourselves and becoming true to ourselves and getting that love energy, allowing that love energy to flow out. That's the only thing that I've been presenting to my family and friends throughout my whole life. And I get every bit of it back from them. You know, there are some that are going through their own trials and tribulations that causes them to treat and act a different way. But I think that I'm with you on the message. I'm so ready to present the message. I'm so ready to help support, bringing not only myself, but everyone and everything around me, my dogs, my family, my friends. I want everyone, everything, every animal need to have that good, loving feeling felt and stuff like that. And it's just great, the information that you're trying to present to the folks and stuff. And again, I didn't even think you were going to pick up the phone, so I'm excited to be on the line.
Well, Troy, that's okay, man. Look, I saw you jump in there. I got all these numbers in there of people that are calling, but I keep checking on them, and they're not responding. So your number I recognize, so I know we talked before. So, you know, Troy, let me ask you a question, man. So you talk about you've been talking to your family about this, about love. Now, you know what it really bothers me is when people just kind of use that word, and they say you just have to do this. Now, love is this intangible, incredible, immeasurable, inscrutable attribute, right? It's an energy, it's a force, it's something that will inspire you to do anything and has the ability to devastate you at the same time. Now, how do you manage that, man? I mean, how do you, in your life, because I mean, you talk about promoting it, how do you keep people, maintain people that way?
By being it. Again, I guess everybody has a different definition of what love means to them. Huh? Right. So, I mean, everybody have a different representation of what love means to you, but you have to be it. If you sit up here and let something that somebody do reflect on you and make you be a certain kind of way, that's what's stopping that love energy from flowing out properly to everyone. You know what I mean? So if you're sitting up here and somebody can do something to you, so it makes you respond and act a certain kind of way, you're not doing what you're doing in love in the first place. Because when it's all said and done, I think we attract those to us that we need in our lives in order to become a better individual in the first place. So if you reflect what's coming to you, back to you, and say, okay, what do I need to do here to present that love energy, or where is it that I'm not getting the love back? Sometimes you can't force anything on anybody, but at the same time you can reflect back of what's coming to you to the point to where it's okay, let me reflect on that and be with it, and still be in that position to where you offer only love back. You don't have to fight back. Now, I'm not saying don't protect yourself. Don't get me wrong now. Because my grandmother, she was the most loving person in the world, but she would cuss your ass out in a minute. But then she'll love you right back when it's all said and done.
Right.
You know,
right.
but the scenario is that, see, and that's things about words. Words was created by man. All this stuff was created by man. And like you said, a lot of this stuff that's been given to us, it's been a lot. And the fact, to me, I'm a singer too. I want to sing the truth to people. I think that music is really going to be the thing that I want to present through song is how I really want to present to folks and let them know what's going on. So like I said, it's being that love energy. Just when something comes to you in the nature, because I can give you an example of something that happened to me where I have helped family members. They can stay at my house and things of that nature. And while you're here, you're not offering that same support that I'm offering you. But at the same time, I understand that even when you came here, you had something that was going on within yourself. I have to reflect on that and not trip off of it, but reflect on it and allow it to help me grow as an individual so that I can help you grow as an individual. Now, I'm not saying babysit a person, because there's a lot of family members that right now, they got a long-handled spoon, but I still love them the same way. You know, I can love you from a distance. you know, man, you feel me on that one? I think that's an important.
I know exactly what you do. Believe me, I know exactly what you mean. You know, because some people. Now, first of all, you can love somebody and recognize where they're at, and they can be perfectly flawed, and you can appreciate them. And this is what I'm talking about right now. So, and you write on the message. this whole thing with these cats, they divide us, and it creates an energy. And what they're doing is they're harvesting that energy directly from social media. That's why they want us going back and forth. They set us up with horrible, stupid things they say, so that we'll come back in and just slam them and be like, "Yeah, I got them," and then all my conservative friends will be like, "Oh, you got them, you're great, that was awesome, screw them," right? And now we're perpetuating this whole little hate mafia in my little mob scene. Now that's what they want. So
that's what they've been doing. I agree 100%.
They don't want you. What they have done to us. Man, Troy, this is a hard truth, and I'll tell you something. I would love it, man. Look, I just took your number down. I'm gonna call you. You want to make songs? You want to sing the truth? Look, I'm a songwriter, man. I want you to take my songs and put something to them. I want you to sing them, because all I'm about is preaching the truth. Every word out of my mouth. I want people to know. Now, here's what I'm gonna tell you. Here's what they've done. They don't want you to like them. They don't care. They don't want to be popular. Even the faces you see, most of them. They're just putting them out there as sacrificial. They don't care. Because, think about it. People hate these people, and somehow they still get elected. They're still there because we're programmed. Yeah. I talked to somebody tonight and said, I go to vote. They said, I vote all Republican, or I vote all Democrat. They don't even know what the candidates are, who they are, what they're doing. That's why.
You know what? I'm at a point with all that. Go ahead. I'm sorry. Go ahead.
No, you go. You go.
I'm really the political. I'm sick of the foolishness and nonsense. There shouldn't be no such thing as a president, no Senate, and none of that. I was about to say bull word real quick, but I bet not. But it shouldn't be none of that mess anymore, because, again, recognizing that we are the power, we are sovereign beings, we are the source energy here ourselves, it should be enough to make a person shut your mouth, come and stand still, and know that you are that is. And we can control this. We need to change this. Quit letting people be in control of us, because that's been the problem this whole time. I'm at a point right now where I'm kind of disgusted about the way the world is, because here it is. I'm a hard-working person. When I'm working, I work hard and I do it well. But because there's so much trash out there, they won't give you the opportunity to do for yourself. So again, like I said, this whole government stuff, if it's all said and done, if we could be without presidents, without senates and all that stuff, and us as the people come together and make this thing happen, that's the best thing that we can do for ourselves right now. Because all this stuff, sorry about saying it again, all this mess that's going on that they're trying to show on media and all that stuff, it's crap. It's stupid. Why? And first of all, we're fighting back and forth. This fighting back and forth. That's how they want, like you said, they want us to be separated and against each other. That's nonsense and foolishness. There will never be a time where I have friends, associates, my family. There's never be a time that the love for me will cause me to separate myself from you. Now, you can separate yourself from me because of how you feel inside, but you cannot stop me from loving you. You can't stop me. And I'm going to still love you the same. I love you the same, but I don't have to deal with you all the time. So that's where that long-handled spoon comes into play. I can love you from a distance. And every time I talk to you, I still feel that same type of love that I had for you when you had to step away, because sometimes you just got to step away. And a lot of people don't like to hear their truth. And for me, Tank, I had stepped away from social media, period, because I don't want to say I was in a growth spell, but it had to be. Yeah, I was in a growth spell, but I didn't do social media. I still don't do it right now. But again, I'm feeling like it's time for me to get out there. But when I do get out there, I want to bring this message out. My first thing that I was going to do was I said I was going to get on Facebook and I was going to sing a song, just make up stuff and just do it live, just make up stuff live. And if people hadn't seen me in such a long time, they'd be like, "What the hell is wrong with him?" So it's time. It's time for us to step out. Right. And that's the thing that they would probably say.
Now listen, I'll tell you something. I talk about, if you've been listening or paying attention at all to what I'm saying, I've been telling people exactly how much they can do with nothing. Because remember, we beat them. Look, we have already beat them. Now, I'm about to tell you something, Troy, because you reminded me of this. There's a scripture. Now, look, I use all scriptures from all religions, all books, and all knowledge on the planet. All of it is divine. And you can use it if you understand exactly what it is. Now, so when I reference the Bible, please nobody out there, don't mistake that I'm trying to impose some Christian ideology on you. I'm taking a scripture from the Bible because it's valuable. And I'll do the same thing from the Torah. I'll do the same thing from the Quran. I'll do the same thing to quote Gandhi. And sometimes I might, quote Kid Rock. It doesn't matter. The point is, if the statement is valuable, don't worry about who said it. Worry about what's said. Right? Now,
I agree.
The question I asked was, how do you inspire this love? And you said to be it. Right? Now, I love this, man. I love this because all throughout the scriptures, it's always talking about the spirit that's in you, the power of the spirit that's in you, the love, that there's nothing greater than that love, right? Now, this is my favorite. In Romans 8 chapter, Apostle Paul's speaking. He says, "For I am persuaded that neither death nor life, nor persecution, nor powers above or powers below will separate me from the love of God." Now, I want you to think about this because the way we have that is a worshiping thing and we're bowing down. It's not, though. It's not. See, what it is Paul knew that the spirit in him, that was God. That was God, too.
That's right.
And he
recognized his sovereignty.
Now,
yep.
And that's where that phrase, you don't want to say, namaste. Namaste literally translates to the spirit in me honors the spirit in you. Now, in this, we've taken on a shape and form and decided to play a role. Now, I'm doing this, and you're talking about, look, you're a singer, but you're embodying love. Now, you've got others, but you know what? Their spirit comes from God, too. They're acting evil. It's the same God, the ultimate source, right? The ultimate substance, limited bounds, endless origins of all things. So, if that's true, then the devil's got to come from there, too, right? So,
right. The energy is coming.
You got to think now. So now you see that spirit. Now, instead of continuing to fight about it, because as we fight about it, you know what we show? We show that I have not learned my lesson. I do not understand why I came here because I'm still uncomfortable. I don't know what it is. So your discomfort, or anyone's discomfort out there, is because the lesson that you wanted to learn, you didn't learn. So you continue to fight it. But when you realize and take the time to examine and consider, what is this experience? What did I want to understand?
That's what I need to get out of this experience, yeah.
That's right. So what I know is this. I know in the other dimensions, I must be incredibly abundant. I must be, like balling out, stupid, amazing rich. Because I had to put myself through a time here to feel what it was like to have nothing. And now that I know what that feels like, I don't ever want anyone to have to feel that. And so I will spend the rest of my life making sure that, and not only that, I must have wanted to understand what it was like to have nothing and have to feel like nobody cared and everybody was just accepting it. Because around us, people with nothing.
It's a trip. Why are you talking about me? Why? It seems like you're speaking the energy of the stuff that I've been actually kind of dealing with and going through. In the process of me still reflecting that same love energy that I always present to folks, it seemed like that, again, I'm feeling the expression of what you said, being without. It's like you said, in another life, I must have been something more balling. Because, okay, go ahead. Let me finish. Go ahead.
Man, good. Go ahead. Sure, man, good. You always welcome to come on and speak up, please. And I appreciate you speaking up. So now here's the point, man.
Thank you.
Now I look at this right here and what I'm going through. And you know what? Here is where the peace comes in. As we've brought in billions of dollars all over the world, done different things, and then had them steal things and fight with them, fight. You know what I realized? I'm in peace. I know that we've won. I know who I am. I know where I'm going. And I know I am living my life's purpose. I know that what I represent personally, just for me, this isn't a self-promotion at all. This is just my personal journey. I'm sharing it with you and anybody else listening so they can hopefully do a personal, detailed investigation of yourself. We should be intronauts, not astronauts, but intronauts. We should be going deep inside of ourselves to better understand
the journey is within.
The power. That's right. the power of the unlimited spirit, the power of the universe that you possess right within you, and you will realize how amazing you are. And I'll tell you something, man. I feel this way, Troy. You probably heard me say it before, and I can't stop saying this. I think about it every day. If you are exceptional, if you are amazing, then you are doing a disservice to the person that made you that way by not being that. So stop downplaying your beauty. Stop downplaying that you're amazing. Stop downplaying that you can do anything, and just start owning the responsibility. Most of us don't want to be great because we don't want all the responsibility that comes with it. We don't want to have to go and be great all the time. We want to make excuses.
Or the fear.
We want to say things
or
like,
the fear.
I don't need that much. Right. That's right.
Mm-hmm.
We don't want to face the fear. We don't want to feel the pain. And because of that, a lot of people suffer. But I'll tell you what, man. We're gonna write some love songs, right? We're gonna put it out there, brother. We're gonna make people smile.
We got to.
Turn people on in the right way.
I'm telling you, it's time to open our eyes up and make people go within. In fact, we need to have a song about being an intronaut. That's gonna be something that's out of sight.
Listen,
let's put something together as far as being an intronaut.
Listen, I'll give you a bunch of things that I've put down on paper for years, and I'd love to hear them brought out. You know what? I'm an artist. I put all things. I'm obviously public all the time, but you know everybody's shy about something. But you better be good, Troy. Don't take my stuff and make it sound jacked up, man. No. The scenario is
now the thing. Now I haven't put music together. I had a friend that put music together, and when I hear some music, it brings and puts a thought in my mind about what words to say. Now, if you've written music and you don't have a rhythm and anything with it, I can read the music and maybe come up with something. But at the same time, I do not write music. I sing very well, and I can pull stuff. But
then you got a problem because I just hired you to produce some songs for me. So get it done, man.
Okay. Well, I'm telling you, I got some friends that I can work with. In fact, I got my girlfriend, a few of them that I can work with, and I can tell them what I'm trying to do and everything. Because I remember I talked to you about it because I sent you information about what I was trying to do. And again, I would like to get the arts of music and even art. I got people that, my cousin, she's an artist. I would like for people to see people's artwork. I would like for people to come together and have them show children how to do their particular art, their particular field of art. So this thing about the love and energy of music can bring not only just music, but entertainment type thing can bring the people together and make us unify. Because I'm a person, I came together, I want to start what I was considering a village. Because even with me wanting to start my own business and open up this entertainment industry, I was bringing all my friends, my family, everybody that wanted to be in this, in this environment. Again, you can't force anybody to do anything. And I would, of course, be attentive to who I'm bringing. Because, like I said, you can read people. Just like I'm hearing you, like what you said before. There's certain people that you can talk to, you can read into their energy and know whether or not they'll be there for you or, be able to assist in that way. Sometimes you got to let people just be in their own space until they're ready. But some people are ready to be there and be there for you 100%. And the thing about that is that those people that have been there and said that they're ready for it, sure, whenever you're ready to do something, let me know. I'll be there for you and things of that nature. I've been sitting idle because of, like what you said, I was letting myself bewilder myself in this fear consciousness of worried about can I do it right with it, and I think the structure of it scares me about getting out there and getting a structure. But screw that mess. I know there's people out there that's ready, and we can all do this together. It's about a unity coming together, the unity factor of everyone coming together in love and making things happen, not only for yourselves, but for the world. I was the one, I was listening to you guys on the Dank Show, and I was the one that said I wanted to ride shotgun over there to Fuji to Fiji with you guys.
Fiji?
I'm the one that did to Fiji. I told Dad I could put in a text.
Fiji.
From Fiji, yeah. I was the one that said I'm riding shotgun because I would come over there and sing. Because this is something that's really important. I believe that everything that you're bringing out, the truth needs to be told. There's more out there that we do not know, and we should educate the folks through music. And so I'm ready. We can do this.
Well, I'll tell you something. Jarvis Smith and the Phoenix Rose, they're the ones, the amazing band.
The first song?
Out of first and last song, and they're doing great. They're actually, doing really well with their album and stuff. But that's a very, very dear friend of mine. He owns the largest ethical media marketing company in the world, and he wrote that first song with Bob Marley's Spirit, actually, and he's quite the spiritual being as well. So that being said, my friend, I agree. And because, Troy, you can sing and you have a natural desire and love for music, you are obligated to make that song something worth hearing. So please go and do that. Go forth and multiply, my friend. And everybody out there,
well, I look forward to hearing from you.
Yeah, cool. So everybody out there, I want you all to know that we are winning the fight, and there is absolutely under no circumstances any reason to be discouraged. We are in the most incredible time in human history. This is when everything in the world begins to change, and we have to focus on that because the change is where everything happens in our life, and that change is not coming from something outside of us. It's being generated from inside of us. So when you see your enemy in front of you, do not back down. Do not be afraid.